Good morning. Welcome to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Gradick, your host. Delighted to have you with us. We want to do a first thing before we get going. A shout out to Felton and Anel. They're watching for the first time on our Facebook Live feed, and glad to have them with us. We have in studio State Representative David Huddleston, District 72. A little bio, and then we'll jump right in. State Representative David Huddleston was elected to the House of Representatives in 2022. Serves the citizens of House District 72, which includes portions of Carroll, Hurd, and Troup. David is fifth-generation farmer from Carrollton and currently resides on his family farm in Roopville, where he and his son Andrew operate their cow-calf operation, chicken houses, hay fields, and beehives. He says his greatest accomplishment is working alongside his son and passing down the knowledge, expertise, and drive that it takes to be a farmer. As a state legislator, he is interested in legislation that will encourage small businesses and local economies, modernize law enforcement equipment, training and techniques, as well as securing resources for local school districts in District 72. He seeks to support rural communities through legislation that will promote farming, agriculture, and enhancement initiatives such as broadband. He retired. He spent 36 years with Carroll EMC. He's VP of Georgia Cattlemen's Association, past president of Hurd County as Cattlemen's Association, and member of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. Are you still president of the Carroll County Young Farmers Association?
No, I'm on the board.
He's on the board. He works with the UGA extension offices covering 6 counties, 10 area FFA and 4-H programs. Serves currently on the Georgia House Agriculture and Consumer Affairs Committee, Georgia House Interstate Commerce Committee, Corporation Committee rather, Georgia House Natural Resources Environment Committee. And then we may talk about some of the committees he hopes to be on in the future. So good morning. With that, take a breath and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here today. It's always great to be here.
I'm very excited to have you in because I want to start out. When I called you a couple of weeks ago, you told me you were loading up a trailer and going to South Georgia. I said, what? Yep. And he said, yeah, I'm going. And it wasn't a part of a big organization. It was just you.
Well, and basically what it was, a friend of mine, he's actually a district VP with Farm Bureau, and then me being a VP with the Cattlemen Association. Like I said, we reached out to the ag folks in South Georgia and just number one to check on them. And
now, we got to be, for those who are not following us, it's Hurricane Helene.
Hurricane Helene, correct,
Okay.
a couple weeks ago. So the way it originally started was that we was just reaching out just to see, in concern of the storm damage and their needs and that type of thing there. And basically, Ralph Caldwell was a friend of mine. He's, like I said, with Farm Bureau. He made mention basically to some of the members of FSS Baptist Church. And they were starting a revival that week. Basically, they took up an offering for the hurricane.
And they're in Southwest Carroll.
No, right there in Hurd.
Just over in Hurd. Across the line. Okay.
So basically what that generated was when we saw that, word got out. So we started talking with the between the citizens of Hurd and Carroll, within the ag industry. And then basically people started donating, got on Facebook, people started sharing. And so the seed was started right there with that donation, pretty much that offering from their revival. And within 24 hours, we had had about $15,000 donated toward the relief.
Wow.
And we've had a number of businesses and that type of thing there. And one of the requests was, and it was, I felt very honored by it, was that they said, we want to make sure, and like you said, no big organizations, whatever, this is just, not me, but the individuals of the area, reaching out. We want to make sure it gets to the people that need it. So we really wasn't 100% sure right where we was going to land. And so basically...
Meaning you didn't know where you were going.
No, sir. No, sir. We just knew people wanted to help.
Right.
And this was about 3 or 4 days after the storm. But they wanted to help that ag world or, in that area. And so we started calling around, and it's amazing that you'll start figuring out kind of where you're going to land. And so that was that Sunday to Monday night. Tuesday, we loaded up. Wednesday, we made delivery. Still wasn't 100% sure where we was going. We just knew we had focused kind of on Jeff Davis and Coffee County.
Now, you told me when I talked to you on the phone that you had a 30-foot trailer.
It was a 32-foot trailer. So basically, we had a truck loaded, a 32-foot trailer loaded, businesses in Carrollton to help and assist, and we had anything from baby diapers, dry goods, to generators, to chainsaw equipment, to bottles of water, what people wanted to donate, because you really wasn't sure at that time. We just wanted to get them something. Okay, because after 3 or 4 days, the need's there. So we started knew we was going to have Jeff Davis, Coffee County, started heading in that direction. The individual that we ended up was calling, and Ralph, he's a pastor, and we was talking about how God works. And basically, when we got to Hawkinsville, the guy said, "Give us a call, and I'll tell you where you're going." So long story short, we got down. We was going to Jeff Davis County. That's where this individual lived. So when we called him, we said, "Hey," he said, I asked him, I said, "A friend of mine lives in Jeff Davis County."
Where is Jeff Davis County?
It's basically you go to Perry, kind of southeast, Hawkinsville, about an hour and a half south of Hawkinsville. So about a 4-hour trip. And so as we got down there, we started seeing the damage and that type of thing. So I asked the individual, the farm we was going to, and I said, there's a pastor friend of mine down there, Van McCall, that I haven't seen in about 5 years. He said, "Oh, Van's going to be here." So I thought that was amazing. Mm-hmm. So we got down there, and actually Van's church, Macedonia Church, was kind of the one between Snipesville's where we went.
Snipesville.
And that goes back to the request of the people. So we want to make sure the people that get it. So you get to thinking, the little community of Snipesville and Denton, a lot of people says, "I've never heard of that."
Well, I've never heard of that.
But that's where we was at,
Yeah.
So we got down there and showed up, and one of the great stories is when we showed up, the older gentlemen that were there to help unload. The 32-foot trailer, we actually loaded a 53-foot van trailer, basically with an aisleway down the middle. While we were there, we'd come up we had chainsaw supplies. As soon as they come off, they got delivered. We basically had a generator that was requested, and the individual basically had come home. It was on oxygen, bed machine, no power. It went straight to his house. It was a PTO-driven generator. Basically, a lady come up to bring us some snacks, from the church, knowing that we was there, and she said, we don't, all the stores were closed. We went through 2 little towns, and they were just desolate, nothing, no power everywhere. So she said, "I just need some diapers for my grandbaby." She said, "Would they be any way y'all have diapers?" Sure enough, we had exactly what she needed. But here's the thing that amazed me the most of the destruction. I mean, we was on a farm, just like a poultry farm, and it was demolished. It was gone.
The houses?
Chicken houses were gone. Really? Just flattened. Trees on the houses. Across the road, timberland just flattened. I mean, it was to see some of that, and that's what people wanted to share when I come back. But you think, we've mentioned before, the average age of the farmer is basically 58, 59 years old. These gentlemen that was helping unload with the farmers, they were probably 60 to 70 in the 70s. So we was sitting there taking a break, and you get thinking, we was looking out the back end of that trailer, and basically everything was just devastated, just demolished from the storm. But it was the cheerfulness, just the passion, the camaraderie that they had, just sharing stories of just everyday life, and having fun. But if you look out, they've just lost everything, So like I said, it was great how we showed up, and since then, we've basically we're working on our 4th load, and we've actually, that was Coffee and Jeff Davis. We've been to Burke County, we've been to McDuffie County, Warren County, and we're working on the next load for Emmanuel County.
So you've basically been gone for a couple of weeks.
Well, off and on as you coming and going, making day trips, things like that. So basically, there's an older member of the cattlemen. They made a comment. They said, "We want to make sure that it gets to people's hands." And pretty much, it's like I said, it's a compliment, and I thoroughly appreciate it. They said, "Well, if David's involved, we know it's getting to the people that need it." So right now we're working on Emmanuel County. It's kind of where they still have a need, and a lot of times it's taking fence supplies. And I tell folks, it's not to say they can't purchase it, but they don't have the ability to most of the stores are gone or it's already depleted. So it's just the big thing is a good deed. And I told an individual one day, a good deed is a good deed with no expectations in return. It's just doing something good.
And that clearly, I mean, you're kind of known for this. This motivates you. I mean,
Absolutely.
your history, whether it's working with young farmers or FAA or whatever.
Well, I think that ties in. Like I said, I've always been community minded, and I'll be honest. I mean, that's and I put that back to me working with Carroll EMC. You're working for the members, very community minded. Multi-county served. So it's become a passion of mine.
That really kind of moved you in this direction.
Yes.
Carroll EMC.
In everything that I've done, even though I've been in agriculture, they got me in agricultural leadership, working with different groups and that type of thing there. Not only that, but it even led me even to be the state representative. You know what I'm saying? And it goes back, you've heard me say, it's all about being a servant leadership. As I, served the members of the farming communities in South Georgia that had the opportunity not only of serving the constituents within my district, here in 72.
So if somebody wants to help out on this effort, you said Emmanuel County's next?
Right now, I think we're looking like it's going to be focused, probably going into Emmanuel County, basically. Paula Burks is actually assisting us. We had some supplies given at the Beef Fest this weekend, great day, great turnout. And she has been communicating with the extension agent down there. They're still needing, fence supplies, chainsaw supplies, some dry goods, that type of thing. But right now, like with the Cattlemen's Association, a lot of those folks now, they're still trying to get fences up and things like that. So that's kind of the focus there of some dry goods, fence supplies, chainsaw supplies, that type of thing.
Were many lives lost or any lives lost?
Yeah, I think, basically at one time, what was it like on the front end, it was like 7 or so, I believe, in Georgia. But then, and we hear a lot, the whole Southeast. My heart goes out for the whole Southeast, Florida, all the way to North Carolina. And just the devastation there, So honestly, I don't think they know the actual total number from the whole Helene storm, basically. Because, it reached all the way up into Kentucky, and like I said, it was just something that we'd never faced before.
So if somebody wants to be supportive of this effort, do they need to call Paula? Or?
Basically, like I said, a lot of times my number's always given out here at the end of the show. You can actually give me a call.
Go ahead and give it out now.
It's 404-535-1110. Or like you said, basically we've got a cattlemen's meeting this Thursday. Actually, our commissioner of ag is going to be speaking Thursday night here at the Ag Center. Tyler's coming in Thursday night. Oh. And so basically from Saturday to Thursday, we're taking supplies. So if anybody's got anything, they can drop them off by the Ag Center at the Extension office. And like I said, I'm going to bring the trailer back. And like I said, we'll collect it up toward the end of the week and see what we can put together. And I've got a number of businesses already wanting to commit. So we're going to kind of let the businesses kind of help fill in the need that we may have. So,
okay.
But yeah.
Excellent. Our guest this morning is David Huddleston, State Rep, District 72. We'll be back with more with David after these words.
Consider the Mobius strip. Take a strip of paper, twist it, connect the ends. This connection forms a continuous loop. Seamless, infinite. That's how your healthcare should be too. At Tanner Health, the Mobius is our symbol and our promise, representing our continuum of care and our commitment that the services you need will be here for you always. We're not just changing healthcare, we're redefining it. See more at tanner.org.
Oak Mountain Academy is an innovative school of academic excellence celebrating over 61 years. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school, inviting you to join us on the mountain to see our mission and vision in action. Academic excellence, a faith-based environment, and dynamic opportunities are just a few of the reasons our families choose Oak Mountain Academy. Academic scholarships and tuition assistance are available. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
Good morning. Welcome back to Community Voice. I'm Steve Rydick, your host. Delighted to have you with us. David Huddleston's in studio, District 72 State Rep. For those who don't know, this is kind of a sprawling district. It goes all the way from Carroll to Troop.
Yep, Carroll, Hurd, and Troop, all the way from Carrollton to the other side of Hogansville, other side of 185 of Hogansville.
Keeps you on the road a bit, I guess.
It does. Basically, like I said, you get thinking it's from north to south of it. It's an hour trek pretty much from one end to the other. But a lot of times you look within those districts and like going back, you're working with the constituents, and that's not only the homeowner that's your constituent, but a lot of times it's, as you've heard me say, law enforcement, small business, education, that type of thing there. So within the district, a lot of times try to share with folks of really how big and the district is, because basically in that 3-county area, we serve 60,000 constituents. But basically within it, you get to thinking, I think there's 7 cities, 4 police departments, 3 sheriff's departments, 3 chambers, 3 commission boards.
Yeah, and you're making them all happy, I'm sure.
And basically you get thinking, really, I serve 4 schools of many of schools at K through 12. But then we also got University of West Georgia. We got LaGrange College. We've got West Georgia Technical College. Got Point University. Because they've got constituents. So I meet with them on issues at hand. So yes, it keeps you busy just because they are your constituents.
So is it a full-time or a part-time job?
They claim it to be a part-time job, but like I said, you'd be surprised. I think it comes back, and it's availability. I believe in the position that you hold and choose. It's serving those constituents. It's being available for those constituents and businesses. And so basically, I think you can be as busy as you want to be.
How much of that is helping your constituents with the bureaucracy of the state?
I think a lot of times within that, I think sometimes people may see or hear, like I said, from the bureaucracy side of it. But one of the things I did on the front end, and I think if you called, this year I've worked so much, it's been horrific on the licensing. I've been working on licensing since the day I've got out of session and through the SOS office, and it's just, I think they put in a new system. It's creating some issues of just trying to get folks as updated, renewed, and that affects back to the county, to the business license. So it's the whole gamut of it. But I think you can change I think it goes back. Like I said, you can do as much as you want to do, to work hard for it. So one thing I did prior to me going in was that it goes back to relationships, goes back to contacts. When I went in on the first end, I was unopposed. So that allowed me time to be able to go up there and meet with these organizations, meet with these individuals, meet with these departments to learn the job that they do, but then to understand kind of my point of view and put a name and face. So it's amazing now that I keep those good relationships to where if an individual may have, an issue that they're very frustrated on, disheartened with, hopefully I can call and get somebody in contact with them, find a resolution, to work with them, to get them an answer. It may not be the one they want, but at least it gets them an answer. So I think we can change the image of that there is a lot of good folks there working. We just got to all work together. And big thanks for the betterment of the state of Georgia, but who's state of Georgia? It's the residents, our constituents.
What else have you been working on?
Oh, like I said, a lot of the number one's basically on the licensing. Pretty much within it, like I said, it's hopefully they've been having some study committees getting it, worked out. It's amazing. That's why you'd mentioned some of the committees of this coming year. One of the ones I hope to get on would be transportation. Basically, like I said, because it's amazing. I work with 2 different district reps on the north end of the system, south end of the system. Great individuals. But there's a lot of times people reach out to you with DOT, state highway. It could be anything from a pothole to a tree over to basically updates of intersections. We worked on one. Danny Bailey reached out to me with Antioch Church down on 166. You get to thinking, as the members of the church come out, as they leave, it's 3 lanes across there.
Correct.
So basically, if you turn back right to go to Carrollton,
you're okay. You're good. Yeah.
But if you go straight across, or try to go back to Bowden, basically, there's some sight distance issues. Yeah. So we actually had DOT look at it and do a study. And so what we're going to do is basically they did approve. They're going to do some, being that it is limited sight, they're going to do some enhanced signage and lighting pretty much to make, I guess these flashing lights, whatever, during church times for the safety and well-being of the members as they leave church, to hopefully make everybody aware that traffic is entering into the intersection.
When you turn left, you got a problem.
That's right. So those are the kind of things, you wouldn't think, but Danny brought that to my attention. We got with Grant, which is the DOT district, went and looked at it. We actually sat there at the intersection. So hopefully, you can work things out like that.
Better now than after somebody gets killed.
That's right. That's my thing. A lot of times you've always heard, Got
to have 3 deaths before they deal with it.
So to me, I'm very much on proactive, not reactive, bar none, for whatever. So basically, like I said, been meeting a lot with the, all the businesses, schools, and all we mentioned two of the things really just here lately is basically Thomas Arnold with a soup kitchen, and
Well, I tell you what, because I want to get kind of deep into that. Let's take a break and come back, and we'll talk more about that. That's an important topic. We'll be back with more after this.
Consider the Mobius strip. Take a strip of paper, twist it, connect the ends. This connection forms a continuous loop. Seamless, infinite. That's how your healthcare should be too. At Tanner Health, the Mobius is our symbol and our promise, representing our continuum of care and our commitment that the services you need will be here for you always. We're not just changing healthcare, we're redefining it. See more at tanner.org.
The AP Scholar Journey at Oak Mountain Academy is designed to provide students with a clearly defined advanced placement curriculum track to earn a series of distinctions upon graduation. This journey enables academically prepared students to pursue college-level studies throughout 17 AP courses in 5 subject categories while enrolled at OMA. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school, inviting you to journey with us on the mountain. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Grady, host. David Huddleston, State Rep, District 72 is in office. I kind of interrupted him because I think this is an important topic. You're now taking a focus on food insecurity.
Yeah, like I said, basically we'll get into a little bit later on some things that have kind of taken issues of kind of my agenda for next year. But one of them was reached out this year is I'd mentioned earlier, I guess, back in the year we talked about food insecurity. And just so happened, Thomas Arnold with a soup kitchen, Sue McGugan with Open Hands, and then down in, you got Hurd and Troop's got food pantries also. And Terry Rainwater out of Hurd, he taught me a lot. Out of Hogansville taught me a lot about the process, how they go about it. And so basically you get to thinking with the way the inflation is, it's gotten tough. I mean, we all facing it. And you hear people say when you go to the grocery stores, you see it. You go to the gas pumps, you feel it, you see it. So you get to thinking there's a lot of people out there that relies on these food pantries to get just that little extra assistance. Mm-hmm. But they reached out to me here locally and said, look, we call the Atlanta Food Bank and we can't get supplies. So I got with the food bank for them to educate me. They take in a lot of donations and just as in like during the MC storm back, we would donate here locally, things like that. But a lot of times when you go to the food bank, you can purchase stuff like I may go purchase for whatever it may be, and I'm paying full retail price. So a lot of these food pantries, the dollar goes so much further. I mean, it's like a dime on the dollar pretty much, that they can buy so much more for that dollar. So that's so important. But if the availability of the supplies is not there, so they have to get on and pretty much try to put in their orders. And they said they're sitting there at midnight when it goes live, and everybody's sitting there waiting to get on that list. Well, the food bank, it covers like 29 different counties. So somehow, some way, we've got to. I mean, I know, like you said, it's the inflation that we face, the supply and demand. It goes out quicker than it comes in. So it goes back to the commissioner. Tyler Harper says, food security is national security. But I've come to learn. I went to an ag summit, and basically in Georgia, we're exporting. We're in the nation. They say we're importing more than we're exporting. So we're relying on other. So we need to be more self-sustainable. Well, you get thinking with these 2 hurricanes that just come through, the agricultural industry just took a $6 or $7 billion hit in agriculture
in Georgia or overall?
In Georgia. So you get thinking of all that was lost. So they were saying, and I imagine Tyler was speaking upon this Thursday night, that like agriculture took like a 30% hit. So those are things. Some things may be able to get back started and going, but like the pecan industry, that's 7-8 years down the road. People lost livelihoods, generations, that type of thing. So I think going back that we've got to, in food insecurity, we've got to teach the importance of agriculture, educate, teach, and show other individuals. Like I said, maybe, you got people, you hear big ag, small ag. and you think it's against, but you know what? They both work hand in hand. You got to have the big ag, but you also need the small ag, the small community gardens, the farmers markets, the things like that helps educate folks where their food does come from. So I'm gonna kind of focus on that issue because there is people who are in need, and just kind of help try to. I don't know if there is a certain answer to it, but I'm gonna search for it. So
another thing you're involved in, I understand, is a tree care study.
Yep.
committee?
Basically, in 23, I was reached out to by arborist that was talking about the tree care industry. Gathered some information. And I think what generated it is you mentioned earlier about some of the trees being cut along the interstates and that type of thing there. Mm-hmm. Basically, you get thinking, and it's case in point with what we've just faced with all these trees that's through the storm. Basically, from what we met a few weeks ago in the Georgia arborist industry was educating us and allowed us to ask questions. You think arborists are you tree cutters, which is true. A tree cutter, can basically be an arborist. But it takes the arborist to kind of know the health of the tree and kind of make that determination. Then you have the tree cutting industry to come in there. Well, basically, one of the things I learned was that, number one, they said that on average, you have one death a month in the tree cutting industry of some kind. And a lot of it goes back to training. Well, but to be in a hair salon, to a hairstylist, you have to have a license and 1,500 hours of training to be eligible. In the tree cutting industry, you can have a pickup truck and a chainsaw, you good to go. So we're looking at it not to try to set the regulations, but set some standards. The study committee, we're going to present to legislatures, this coming year for what we find. But basically, it's for the safety and well-being of the tree cutting industry, but not only the industry, but it's the residents, because they may come out there and cut a tree onto your house, they pack up and leave. So we've just got to look at the whole picture in general for the safety and well-being of everybody.
And cutting a tree can be very dangerous because trees, when you're cutting them, you don't know what they're going to do.
They have a mind of their own.
They have a mind of their own.
Yes, sir.
Real quick, you mentioned school safety is part of the agenda.
Yes, sir. Basically, I here lately a lot what I've been asked or talked about, conversate that I'm on. Like I said,
let me interrupt you again.
Sure.
I'm going to interrupt you a lot.
Oh, you're good.
Let's go to 905 since we spent so much time on the hurricane relief. Go ahead and tell us about school safety.
So basically, like I said, a lot of questions, a lot of concerns from parents, industry leaders, schools, is school safety of all what we hear within the news. And the ultimate thing is we want safety for our students, knowing that they're in school, they're safe. Times has changed from when I was in school than it is now. So, you hear a lot talking about, that it may be mental health, maybe counseling, just all the gamuts that we need to look at, but what's the root cause? But basically in 23, they did an amendment on the budget to basically allocate $50,000 for each school. And that allowed them pretty much to put in alert systems, access control, security-related training, resource officers, things like that. So basically they amended the budget, gave $50,000 to each school, not system, but school. So I'm actually going around within all my district, got some appointments set up to see how our schools, I've talked with Coward, here locally, talked with Albertus, Hurd, Robert. So basically, how is that money spent? How do we invest it as in school-related safety? But what can we do different, And I just heard this yesterday. I think a lot of parents want to know that either resource officer, some kind of device, cameras, whatever, for that school safety. But I think it goes back to education too, not only of parents, teachers, students, to be proactive within that measure. But basically, Polk County up here in Cedartown, this is Safe Schools. It says, in order to meet the security and safety needs of thousands of students, faculty, visitors of Polk County-based educational institution, the Polk County Sheriff's Office created a Safe Schools Division, which brings all of the school-based programs under one roof so that they can focus entirely on school safety. I thought that was amazing. Mm-hmm. So that may be something, and that just, and I know all schools has probably done some things, but that may be something that's a start. Mm-hmm. We can learn from other counties, other systems. Mm-hmm. So that's something there that I think is really going to be important, really going to be talked about. But it's priority. I mean, it's the safety and well-being of our students.
Half the state budget is dedicated to education, so it shouldn't be a financial issue.
You get to thinking, like I said, a lot within school systems. They receive locally, state, and federal. Mm-hmm. And so So, right, you would think half the budget, what is it, 53% or something like that, pretty much goes to education. So,
Right.
right, it shouldn't. We just need to allocate the money in the right ways. Yep.
All right.
But-
You mentioned, well, let's
What-
just go ahead. You know,
I was going to say one last thing that I've been going around, and everybody calls me, like I said, a lot of times in Atlanta, they call me the EMC guy and the ag guy.
right.
One of the things I've been, and the biggest things getting educated on pretty much is preservate. You've asked me before this on one of the last segments when I brought in the students was preservation of agriculture. That's a big umbrella. So basically, within the preservation of agriculture, one of the questions that I've asked, and I'm in the process of putting everything together, meeting with folks. Georgia has been the number one place to do business for the last 10 years. They're saying we're going to hit the 11th. That's great. Okay. You get thinking, why is Georgia the number one place to do business? All these businesses want to come. They do bring jobs. But you get thinking there's tax credits, tax breaks, tax incentives, that allows them to come. So here's my question. If agriculture is the number one industry in the state of Georgia, which is Georgia's the number one place to do business in for the last 10 years, as Georgia, what can we do to incentivize the number one industry of agriculture, not only for individuals like myself to stay in because land value prices has gone up so much, to be able to willingly enough to stay in, because private property owner rights, a lot of times those farms is their retirement. If it doesn't get passed on to the next generation of their family or someone, then it's revenue making of where they can retire. But somehow, some way incentivize to where, hey, I want to stay in it, but somehow incentivize for those youngsters I brought to get them into it, to allow them to be able to afford to do it. So I've just got to find that balance, figure out what works to where we can incentivize that industry, not only for today, but for years to come, because it goes back to what we said, as in Commissioner Harper, food security is national security, but you get to thinking it helps a lot. Food insecurity, all the different things that we just need to support to make sure it's here for tomorrow.
And if you don't, then the legacy is gone.
It is.
And then the prosperity of Georgia.
And you get thinking, people, I'm
Right.
fixing to be 60 years old.
Yeah.
I'm in that age group of being those farmers. I'm luckily that my son's 30.
Mm-hmm.
He's come back to the farm full time, created a business. So I've got that avenue of trying to pass it down. But a lot of people don't have that opportunity. So we've got to somehow make that opportunity.
And there's a perspective, a lifestyle, a value, a culture in the agricultural community that people who live in the cities can't imagine.
Right. And we got to have that balance. Growth comes, but we got to keep that right balance. But we got to share the message. Got to share the message.
Our guest this morning has been David Huddleston, District 72 State Representative. We've got just about a minute left. You do have a opponent this go around. 60 second. Why should somebody vote to reelect David Huddleston?
I think it goes back to being community minded. Pretty much, it's the work ethics, it's the being availability. It's representing the constituents. The best part about the job is representing the constituents. And I represent 60,000, and I want to make sure that all the constituents can pick a phone up or contact me with a concern or issue, because I'm willing there to work for them, to represent them. And like you said, just look out on the well behalf of just knowing that we'll be here for tomorrow. So I appreciate everybody's support in the past. I appreciate everybody's support coming into the future, and look forward to representing them in the coming days. So thank you so much for having me.
And your phone number?
404-535-1110.
Our gratitude to David Huddleston. Thank you for listening. Thank you to our sponsors. Go out and make it a great day. You're in tune to WLBB Carrollton.